Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory Online Summit, Day 10. This is Gertrude Macha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today we have yet another amazing lineup of speakers coming from all over the world. Welcome, 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 ladies. We are looking forward to hearing from you. So, our first speaker, Ruth, introduce her.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time we find you at this time of day. Our first speaker is coming to us from South Africa, Uyiswa Nzadu. Uyiswa has a compelling story, which you all hear, and she's based in SA in South Africa, and we are in the process of getting a book together. So she's got a book that will be coming out as well through Herstory publishing house. And so we are very excited to have you back here, Vuiswa. You were with us in September, I think. So welcome back
Yeah.
and take it away.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Good morning or good evening or afternoon to everybody. It's great to be back. As Ruth said, my name is Boiswan Sato. I'm coming from South Africa. And here is my story. Um, when I was 6 years old, I was raped by a stepbrother. At that time, I wasn't staying in Cape Town. I was staying in Heidelberg, outside of Cape Town, staying with my mom and my stepfather. When that happened, it was when I was sick with chicken pox, and my mother couldn't look after me because she and my stepfather had to go to work, and they asked my stepbrother to be looking after me. On that day, that was the day that my whole life as a 6 year old changed. My stepbrother raped me and he threatened me if I told my mother that he will kill her and then I would be an orphan and his father won't believe that he actually raped me. So that's when I decided that I'm going to keep that secret to myself and I didn't tell my mom about what happened. um, as that 6 year old, I carry a heavy burden of um, being like, I don't want to lose my mother, so I'm not going to be able to tell what happened. So that's what I did for all the years that I'm growing up. But I didn't trust to be staying with my stepbrother anymore. And then since I didn't tell my mom, but then the following day I decided to tell my mother I want to be with like a neighbor just to be far away from him. Then couple of years later we moved from there and then we moved to Cape Town. So in Cape Town that's where my second incident happened. I was about 10 years old. My mom was a domestic worker and she, where I'm staying in Kailicha, it's a township. So to Kailicha, to another community, I could just walk like an hour, 15 minutes during the day. So that's when what I was doing every single time. So when I was walking, so I normally go through this bush that everybody used as a shortcut to get to where you want to go very quickly. So when I was in the middle of the bush, that's when a stranger put a knife behind me on my neck and he told me to take off my panty and lay down. And I was scared and I did exactly what he did. And as he was raping me, he held a knife against my neck and told me not to scream. I didn't scream. There was nothing I can do. And all I can do at that time was praying and hoping that he won't kill me and nobody would know what happened to me. When he was done, he left. I just pull up my panties and walk to my mom's work. When I got to my mom's work, I went straight to the bathroom and locked myself in and just start wiping myself with toilet paper and crying and blaming myself for why did I go through it and why is this happening to me. But when my second rape happened, nothing reflected back to what actually happened to me. So I wasn't thinking of the first rape at that point. I was thinking about why did I walk there. But still, I didn't tell my mom. Even when I went back home, I still walked back home, but I didn't went through the same bush. I just took a longer route back home. When I got home, I told two of my friends about what happened, and they just laughed and thought it was funny. So that's when I decided that I'm never ever gonna share anything that happened to me to any friends. Then I kept that to myself. I didn't even tell uh, any family members, didn't tell my mom about that rape. Then when I was like turning 16, at that time I started to date somebody, and I didn't know the person that I was actually dating at that time knew an ex-boyfriend of mine that I actually dated. And he used to come and visit me because he was in school and I was going to school. And then late, he would come and visit me. And we'd stay in the corner and just chat about how our day was. Then he's like suggesting if I can accompany him to his place. That was around like at 8, 9 in the evening. And I was like, okay, because I trusted him. Then we went to his place. When we got to his place and when we got inside, then I find out that the ex was actually inside, and I was told to close the door. Then my ex-boyfriend instructed me not to scream and not to make a noise because nobody is gonna come. Oh, and that's exactly what I did, and I was told to undress. And I was very confused about what's happening, even though I was doing exactly what I'm actually told to do. Then that's when I dressed myself and I was told to lay down. And he was like the first, my ex boyfriend was the first person who raped me. And they were like exchanging with me and then my current boyfriend. So that rape went on for like hours. And I think went on until 2 o'clock in the morning. And when the ex-boyfriend left and I wanted to go home, my boyfriend at that time told me, "No, I should sleep because it's like early morning. You won't be able to take me home." Then I decided I'm gonna sit on the chair. I'm not gonna go to bed because I'm scared that um my ex will come back. And I just sat there. Even when the rape was happening at that time, I was also praying that my brain doesn't shut down because I could feel the pain and my body was trying like to shut down. And I was like, I hope my brain doesn't shut down. They would think that I'm dead and they will like kill me. So in God's grace, through all the prayers, that didn't happen. Even when he left, I was sitting on the chair crying and want to go home, and he's like apologizing, trying to explain himself that no, that he threatened, the ex-boyfriend threatened him, if he didn't bring me he would do something to him. I didn't want to listen to that. All I wanted to do was go home. um I only went home at like 6 a.m. in the morning, and when I got home, nobody asked me where I was, not even my mom. I was just prepared to go to school and then came back, and that I also kept to myself. I didn't tell my mother, I didn't tell any friends. And that's how I dealt with. I had a coping mechanism for every incident that happened in my life. Years later, when I was like in my 30s, already a parent, an organization called Rape Crisis came into my workplace when I was working, and they came to do a workshop. So in this workshop, they had this training where they give you a topic and say, can you tell something that happened to you that could be a true story, or can you make something up? And they break it up in groups. And that's when I started. I was the first person talking and I was very talkative. Then I was like, when I was this age, my stepbrother raped me. When I was this age, a stranger raped me. And then my manager at that time was just looking at me, and when I'm done he was like, are you serious? And then I say yes. And that's when my manager decided to send me to Rape Crisis for counseling. So I went for like three counseling sessions where I had to reflect on the rape, where they have to counsel the little girl that was 6 years old and find the healing process. That's where my journey of healing started. And I had to do forgiveness session too, where I have to forgive the people that raped me. So I could only forgive the last two of the gang rape because the others I didn't know, and my stepbrother had no communication with them. And as years gone by, that's when I, while being in rape crisis and going through my journey, I started talking about my rape, sharing my story. Um, and then Rape Crisis had the Speak Out campaign where I go to radios to share my story, several radio shows, street talk where I also share my story, talk at in Mandela events and stuff like that. So that became my mission as person who's actually working with youth as a counselor to start sharing my story and continue my healing journey. And because of rape crisis and my counseling session, that's why I could be able to be the strong person that I am, to be sharing my story and also help other people that went through the same situation as me. So I'm very grateful for the help and for all the spaces that I got an opportunity to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you,
Wow.
Luis. Wow.
What a
That
story.
story. Now, rape in South Africa is a very common thing. A lot of people don't realize that this is happening to young girls time and time again. What have you done now to try and conscientize young girls in your community? Are things changing? What is the situation now?
Um, at this moment, I think in my previous work, where I used to work before I work at the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation right now, at my previous work, we used to have these outreach programs with youth because I used to work with youth a lot, where we would talk to them about rape, about gender based violence. So that was the main thing that made me to talk more because I interacted with youth. I even interacted with families when there was an incident in a family, and then I would go to the family to make them understand, do they know what's happening to the child? Do they understand if it happened in the family? Because most of the time, what I picked up is when the rape is happening in the house, the family don't want to talk about it. It
Mm,
gets squashed. It's like traditionally, there's traditions, there's cultures, there's also the thing of, oh, I'm dependent on this person. If this person leaves, we will die of hunger. So that's what I used to do. And but now, since I'm working in a different organization, they're not focusing that much on anything that has to do with gender-based violence. So for me as a counselor, when somebody's getting referred to me, I'll always refer them to rape crisis most of the time, and also help them over WhatsApp. So I do WhatsApp counseling with them. And then for those who do go stays closer to where I work, would come to my office, we sit down. So that's how I try to help the most of the time.
mm. So
And
let's
what
open up the
said?
dialogue to the panel. Sorry, Ruth, to cut you off. Just say where you are, say who you are, so people get to know everybody who's in the room before you ask your question. Go ahead, Ruth.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruth. I am in Harare in Zimbabwe, currently with no electricity. Um, I was going to say that it's sad that the perpetrators are usually family or friends. They're people that we know, or they're people that are part of the family, and the family then tries to protect them. Because if it were somebody from the community, then they would want to prosecute. But if it's your stepbrother, or if it's your brother or an uncle, then they try and hide all those things. And well done on the work that you are doing with the youth and with the young ones. Really brave to be doing that. Thank you, Gertrude.
Thanks so much. Paula, do you have anything to contribute?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming. I mean, I want to said it's loud.
Paula,
Yeah.
your sound is not very good. I'm not sure what's going on there. Do you have earphones on?
Don't have any.
Do you have earphones on?
No.
Okay, so maybe get a little bit closer to your computer. Yeah, that's much better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's too far away. Let me see. Okay. So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story and just coming forward. I mean, you got laughed at just for telling your friends. I mean, that's traumatic right there. To ever share again. So I just want to say thank you. I was tearing up just listening to you. So I thank you for sharing, and I hope that your story helps many, many other women all over the world. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Whip, I know you can't come on camera. If you're there and you have some comments, contribution, please chime in. Maybe we'll go
Thank
to
you.
you. Okay, there you
Thank you.
are.
Thank you so much, Sisketi. This is Whip Mtembu from South Africa. Apologies, guys. I'm really trying to make sure that I get the best out of this, and that's why I'm not on video, just to make sure my network is proper. Um, what I would like to say to you is that continue to open up as you do. And I'm really looking forward to sharing the space of our stories published through Herstory, because I have seen how much our voices get heard through this program. And I know for sure that there are many, many other women who are walking around with 6-year-olds in them that are not held, not only in South Africa, but the rest of Africa needs to continue to hear this story. And I'd like to encourage you to stay on this course, to stay on this platform. And I can assure you that one day you will change lives of girls that you might have never been able to meet except for this platform. I really applaud you for what you did. Your story, I can assure you, so many other women are walking around and they need another 6-year-old to tell them that I am also going through the healing. Let us travel the journey together. I really applaud you for your stand.
Thanks so much, Whip. Great to see you and have you with us today. Liliana, please tell everybody where you're based.
I am in the Big Apple, New York City. That
Fantastic.
that was an amazing story. It touched my heart too. And there's lots of women, even in New York and all over the world, that could use that encouragement.
Unfortunately, it's a more common story than it's not.
Yes.
And I think the more women talk about these issues, the more change will come. We can't keep quiet anymore. Stella, welcome to the tribe. Please introduce yourself, tell everybody where you are, and give us some feedback. You're muted, Stella. We can't hear you. Your sound's not coming through.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure also to be in this forum. My name is Stella Dirk Lautmann from Germany. Actually, I was a little bit late, sorry, but I really get a really strong point about the issue of gender-based violence and child issue of the protection for concern about our society, because really gender-based violence or some violence in the societies are really critical, or it's a serious problem. And we have that thinking like a shame upon a perpetrator. And I mean, shame upon the victim and not perpetrator. Most of the time, those who are doing those acts or those who are doing violence, they are covered themselves and they just push like shame upon those who are the one who are victim. So I think it's a time for us to stand in one voice, in one unit as a women to change the world, because I believe we can make it when we raise in one voice, because her story can be my story as well. Your story can be also somebody's story. That's why we are here. I think we can do something for the betterment of our children, even our future generation. That is my belief. And I believe we have power enough in us to make changes as a women. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stella. You're right. Her story is our story.
Yeah.
And we need to all amplify her voice by sharing it.
Yeah.
So, any of you who are watching this video, please share through your social media platforms. These
Mhm.
stories need to be heard. Nothing is going
Mhm.
to change unless we amplify the stories. So, thank you so much
And
for that reminder, Stella.
yeah, and sorry, a little bit some top up point to concern about that. Serious, this issue of gender-based violence, most of the perpetrators are our close relative. Sometimes in the family member, you can think maybe perpetrator is from outside. Sometimes it's within our cycle, within our
Mm.
community, within our family members. So it's really sometimes hard to speak it up, because it's like they will say, why you reported the matter? Why, maybe it's your mama, or it's your papa, or it's your uncle, or it's your mama-in-law, or it's your papa-in-law. So it's a really something really we have to demonstrate much our voice, our energy, to make sure that people are open up and they speak out, so we can solve the problem within our society. Because we have that mentality about shame upon the victim and not the perpetrator. So we have to change around the shame upon the perpetrator and not the victim. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely has to be reversed.
Yeah.
We have Nasessa commenting on Facebook from New Zealand. She said, "What a brave and beautiful young woman. Love and light to you, Buyiswa." Thank you, Sessa. Nasessa was with us yesterday. She was one of our speakers. Lovely to have you tuning in today. So, Buyiswa, we are behind you 100% as a movement.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
want to see what we can do through
That's
our
right.
networks globally to
Mhm.
help change this. It's not just happening in Africa, it's happening in every corner of the world. When you listen to women in New
Mhm.
Zealand, Australia, the story
Mhm.
repeats globally. And I
Mhm.
think this is the time for us as women to take action and make a difference in some way. So thank you for your strength and the power in sharing this story. Don't get tired, keep going. So we'll go on to our next speaker, Ruth. We'll go on to Paula.
Paula, yes. Welcome everyone. I see we have new people on. Is it Beauty? Welcome,
Beauty's just
Beauty.
joined us.
Thank you for joining us and welcome. Our next speaker is Paula Denoncourt, and she is a certified holistic health consultant specializing in food allergies, intolerances, digestive issues, and autoimmune illnesses. Paula loves teaching people how to go back to basics on food choices by providing simple recipe guides and lifestyle tips. She has taught several classes and appeared on many TV shows. She has been a guest speaker for Central Mass Lyme Foundation, Bristol County Hope for Lyme, and the Breast Friends Connection, just to name a few. Paula is available for one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and speaking engagements. You can learn more about her on her website at www.enrichyourhealth, so enrichyourhealth.com, but your is with a UR. Paula, welcome back to this platform. Good
Thank
to
you.
have
Let me know how's the sound before I get going. Is it okay? We good? Okay. Sounds good? Okay. So I just want to say good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. As Ruth mentioned, I'm Paula Denoncourt, holistic health coach. I've been doing my business since about 2010. I worked in a prison for 22 years, and I developed my own health challenges. I started to get multiple food allergies from the stress of the job. long story short, it was very stressful. I was a dispatcher. I was there for 22 years, like I said. 13 of those years, I was 3 to 11. So I dealt with a lot: riots, hangings, escapes, you name it. So I had to reset my body. And if you watch the last broadcast, I talked a little bit more about it, but I'm not going to talk just about me on this broadcast. I want to talk about Lyme disease, and I'm going to talk about how that came to be in my forte. But so like I said, I worked in a prison. I was a dispatcher. I had to handle all kinds of things, riots, escapes, all kinds of stuff. I was on by myself a lot. So I just handled a lot of stress. It took a toll on my body. My body was just breaking down. It was like, if you don't quit, I will. So I had to change job positions for a little while. I became a secretary, and I just studied a lot about health. I had to help myself. Doctors really didn't help me. I went to alternative practitioners, things like that. So what I did, I started, went to integrative nutrition in New York City, became a health coach, also took a raw food course. So in the meantime, I'm helping myself and reading and how I can help myself. I started teaching raw food classes, which raw food classes is not anything scary. It's just eating food that are whole foods without cooking. Raw food is eat things like nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, sea vegetables, things like that. They lightly steam some vegetables, eat warmed soups that aren't cooked over 115 to 118 degrees. So I had this one woman in my class. Her and her husband took one of my classes. And later on, they were actually, I stayed in touch with them, put it that way. They were on my Facebook page, and I kept, kind of stayed in touch with her. Well, later on, it turned out her mom died of Lyme disease, but they didn't know it. She was misdiagnosed. The reason her husband took my class is because he wasn't feeling so well either. They just wanted to feel well, or at least her husband did. So I wound up doing talks for Lyme disease for Central Mass Lyme Foundation. I did a talk on nutrition, a couple of talks. Actually, they did a conference. Michelle started the Central Mass Lyme Foundation because of her mom. Like I said, she was misdiagnosed. I started going to all the group meetings because they have speakers. And the more I learned, the more I could teach. And the more I found out was Lyme disease was so thrown under the rug, thrown under the bus. People didn't know how to treat it. People didn't know how to diagnose it. And to no fault of their own, a lot of doctors don't know enough about it. It's very hard to diagnose. It's one of the most misdiagnosed illnesses out there. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It starts from a tick bite, but it also can be passed down in other ways. Now, I'm not going to say it is controversial, some of these ways, but we are finding it more and more. If you look it up, you will find some studies. So full disclosure, I'm not a doctor, scientist, nutritionist, none of that. These are just things I've learned along the way from some of the famous doctors with Lyme disease. Once again, some of it's controversial, but some of the ways it can be passed down are mother to child, blood transfusions, sexually transmitted. It's controversial, like I said, but when I go to these group meetings, I was finding more and more families that had it, the entire family. One of my friends, 19 members of her family have Lyme disease. Another woman in the group, she has 6 kids. Her and her husband, all 6 kids have it. Another woman has 3 kids. Her and her husband, all 3 kids have it. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. So what are some of the symptoms of Lyme disease? So some of you out there may be watching this and they might have told you you have fibromyalgia. You may be watching this, they might have told you you have MS. You may be watching this, somebody with Parkinson's. These are all related. Lupus. Are they one and the same? I don't know. Like I said, I am not a doctor or anything like that. But they are very similar symptoms. Some of the symptoms are brain fog. They call it Lyme brain. You can't remember things. I have a friend that she couldn't remember how to get home. She'd call her husband. He'd be like, "What do you mean you don't know how to get home?" She just couldn't remember how to get home. He'd be mean about it. Another woman was like, "Thank God for GPS." She didn't remember how to get home. These people are young. One of them is my age. I'm 53. I'll be 54 in December. So those are some symptoms right there. You get joint pain. Like I said, a lot of people get diagnosed with fibromyalgia. They don't know what else to do or tell you. Um, Low grade fevers. A lot of people are under the misconception that it starts with a bullseye rash. It can, but not always. There are many, many co-infections under the umbrella of Lyme disease, and not to scare you, but sometimes that's what you have. You have like Bartonella or Babesia or Ehrlichia or Rocky Mountain Fever. There's all different ones. And I will give you a website so you don't think I'm talking a bunch of garbled up craziness. It's ilads.org. ILAD as in dog, S as in Sam.org. And that's International Lyme Association Disease Society.org. So they get low-grade fevers, they get headaches, joint pain. A lot of times it's in the hips or the knees, lower back pain, can't remember things. They might like be sitting at the table and they'll say, pass me that, and they can't say it. It's on the tip of their tongue. So those are some symptoms right there. It affects every organ in the body. The kidneys, they might have kidney problems. Mototic disorder. One of my friends, her son, kept having like mototic disorder. I mean, thankfully she found a really good doctor in Connecticut and got that checked out. He's doing much better, thankfully. There, not just joint pain, but like being tired all the time. You can't pay attention. They have cognitive issues. Sometimes they'll be, they can't pay attention. They get very neurotic sometimes. They have OCD. I have another job where I answer phones and, answer customers' questions for grocery stores. And I know when somebody's got an autoimmune issue. You know why? Because the wheels are spinning and they can't stop talking. It's almost like they're manic. And of course, then they'll say something like, they'll start talking about specialty foods, things like that. And I'll be like, okay, now I know that they do have some sort of autoimmune issue. And I was right. There's something going on there. They're very neurotic. You almost can't get them off the phone because they'll just be da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They won't stop. And you'll notice this. With the holidays coming up, it's all different religions out there, but there, a couple of them are very common right now, Hanukkah and Christmas. You're going to find people that might have fibromyalgia in the family, MS, Parkinson's, ALS, all these different types of things. They may not know that they have Lyme disease, or maybe they just have an autoimmune issue. It affects their mental health. Please be compassionate. Another thing that happens is they get very angry. It's not their fault. It's affecting their brain. So, you might have somebody in the family that's very angry, getting all upset about something silly. You're like, what's the big deal? But it's a big deal to them. It's because of the illness. They may not even know that they're ill, but these are some key factors. They've got gut problems. They've got joint problems. They say they have fibromyalgia all the time, things like that. Those are some key factors. Please pay attention. You might even want to direct them to ilads.org. That's the guru. That's where all the medical doctors are. That's where all the research is. There's not a lot of fluff on that website. It's a lot of medical information. So there's a lot to weed through on the internet. That's the best site that I can give you. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I live in North Carolina now. But Lyme disease is everywhere. Please don't think if you live in another country or another state, it's, it's not prevalent. Yes, it's more prevalent in different areas. Now, one doctor in Connecticut traced it back to Italy, believe it or not. A lot of people in Italy used to have it. Like I said, we're finding blood transfusions cause it. I met a couple here in North Carolina. She was saying she had to have a hip surgery when she was a kid. Who has hip surgery as a kid? And now, fast forward, she's older. Her and her husband were both having all these symptoms. And it passed through the family. The family was having all these symptoms, the joint pain and all this stuff. And they were sitting there eating breakfast at a hotel after I moved to North Carolina, and I met them, and I knew right away they probably had Lyme disease, because he was getting sicker and sicker as he was eating the food. People with Lyme, they start to get joint pain, or they start to get really tired, or just feel really crappy. Flu-like symptoms is another symptom. They just start to feel like garbage after a while. So of course, he's eating sausage, and it's processed food in a hotel. He was just feeling like crap. I could just see it. Like he was just slowly, like just going downhill. I met another woman that had a lot of joint pain. She had problems with her eye. Vision is another symptom of Lyme disease. They have sensitivity to light and things like that. She was saying she couldn't see at night. She couldn't drive at night. She had to be on Humira because of swelling behind her eye. And then she's told me she had a blood transfusion, and that person that gave her the transfusion had a lot of arthritic issues. Well, I can't prove it, but put two and two together, that person probably had Lyme disease and gave blood. I can't prove it, but she had a lot of symptoms of Lyme, and the arthritic problem was like kind of the icing on the cake. So these are some symptoms, some things to really look for. What can you do if you know somebody that has Lyme? Let me tell you a little bit about diet that can help. They need an alkaline diet, as little as sugar as possible. Like I said before, I can cheat. I have multiple food allergies, but I can have a little bit of a cookie, or if I want to have a donut, I'm going to have a donut. I don't do it every day, don't get me wrong. But if they have something like that, here it is, some different holidays for everybody, might have a glass of wine, they're in pain right after. They got to go to bed. It's that bad. So my tips for them, if you go into a party, or you're having a party, make sure you eat something before you go. So that way you're not famished and you want to cheat on everything there. Another thing you can do is ask that hostess, are you going to have anything that I can eat? Find out if you're going to a party. If you have, work friends and stuff like that, find out, bring your own tray of food, that you can eat. Eat before you go. This always helped me to be around all this stuff, because I actually was hospitalized 2 years in a row on the holidays. Why? Because it's so easy to just have a little bite of something here and there. My mom made 12 different types of cookies. So I, of course I'd want a little bit. So I was hospitalized on Christmas night. That's when my food allergies reared its ugly head. A year later, I was hospitalized again on the day after Christmas. So I want you to look for these things in family and friends so you can help them. Help them to have foods they can eat around this time of year. There's going to be stuff at work. There's going to be stuff with family, whether it's even pasta. So there's foods that really irritate people with like fibromyalgia or MS or Lyme disease. Those types of foods are in the nightshade family. That would be like eggplant, the gluten, the wheat, so pasta type things, bread, sandwiches, that's going to aggravate them. Sugar is going to aggravate them. Dairy. So if you're having a lot of cheeses out, if you suffer, make sure you're not eating a lot of dairy. Those are some types of foods that you don't want to have. You want to do gluten-free, don't want to have a lot of sugar. I make a beautiful kale salad. You can make that, you can winterize it, put some pomegranates on there. That's a great food to bring to a holiday event. So those are just some things. So along the years of really studying this, it's really sad to me that I've been meeting so many people with Lyme disease and they can't get diagnosed. So let me give you some other tips before we end this. Um, the first test that a doctor will do is the ELISA. That's about 50% accurate. The next test you can do is the Western blot test. So the ELISA comes back in about 3 days. So that's when you know that's that quick test. And it's only about 50% accurate. Most of the time, if that comes back negative, they're going to send you home. And you're going to be like, I'm still sick. Why are they, why are they saying it's not that? So then you can do the Western blot and you push for this. But that's only about 80% accurate as well. So like I said earlier, if you remember correctly, I said that it's very hard to diagnose and treat. Like I said, it's to nobody's fault. It's the great imitator. It imitates so many other illnesses. So, if you're out there, you have some of these issues, like I said, go to ilads.org. That's where you'll find the best information about it. So those are my tips for you. Make sure or go see a naturopath. Lyme disease people, depending on how early on you catch it, they will, they'll either be on prescription type things, medicine, herbal type supplements, and diet. It depends on the person, how early on it is. Some people can do herbs alone. It's up to you, but I highly suggest you get people that know about it and know how to treat it. So whether it's a alternative practitioner or a doctor, just get people that know about it. So that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to kind of let you know how Lyme disease fell into my lap. I am a Lyme disease advocate. I will fight for you because it is thrown under the bus so often. I've put together ebooks and recipe books to help people with food allergies, sensitivities, or even autoimmune issues. So there are a lot of dairy-free, sugar-free recipes out there because nobody was helping me with recipes when I needed it. So I've done that, but I will continue to fight the fight for Lyme disease. Right now, everybody's talking about COVID, all the variants of it. Well, if you have an autoimmune issue and you get vaccines, you don't know what's in that vaccine. Your body's going to have to fight a lot more. So you need to know what you're dealing with. You need to know how to deal with it and how to just be better. So, with that, I'm not going to say take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine. I'm just giving you facts that you just need to know about. So once again, I will put out the disclosure. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. If there's anything you disagree with, you can totally tell me. I'm understandable about that. I said some of these things are controversial. It's not etched in stone or any of that. But this is just to help you or to help someone else. So with that, I just want to say thank you for having me today, having me on here. It's just been a pleasure. So I hope that I can help someone today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Just bring
Thank
our
you, Paula.
panel to join us here. Thank you so much, Paula.
My pleasure.
We hear about Lyme disease, but you've really shone a light on all of the symptoms that can sometimes be missed. I
Yeah.
can actually see a few people that I know personally who might be suffering and not even be aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking some of the symptoms are they they're similar to menopause, but like you say, it's usually misdiagnosed or missed, and it's diagnosed as something else. So yeah, so thank you for that very informative presentation, Paula. And just to when you look at the symptoms and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I know somebody who's going through this, or I know, and they think it's something else.
Right.
And then you spoke about the tests that they do. So at least there are tests that they can carry out. So thank you for that advice. And definitely we'll be sharing with the people that we now suspect may have
Yeah.
Lyme disease.
And one other thing is one of my friends, that's what the doctors would say to her. It's menopause. Go, like, you know, it's menopause, go away.
Hmm.
Um, so they would say, yeah, she was large breasted. They'd say, oh, that's just because you have large breasts that you have back pain. Like they tell her buy a new mattress. They would tell her all this stuff. And she had Lyme disease. She was practically in a wheelchair. And thankfully, she found a really good doctor in Connecticut, Dr. Stephen Phillips, who's amazing. Yeah, that helped her. Otherwise, she'd still be in a wheelchair. My age, at 53. That's not right.
Wow.
Anyone else?
Um,
Yeah.
any other
Yeah.
comments, ladies? Just indicate by show of hands. Stella, Beauty, Liliana.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Paola. It was a wonderful presentation, really. I learned a lot. Actually, I like your fact about issue of health. Sometimes we are really a little bit scared a lot, but I think when we hear from people who are specialized on the issue for health matters, it's really give energy and courage to march forward, especially during this time of pandemic. There is
Hmm.
a lot of fear in people's heart, mentality, and other stuff. But thank God, what you shared with us really it's give us more booster in our heart, in our mental, and
Thank you.
also in our mind to rethink again and to know what is going on, how we can stand, how we can fight, how we can address the issue, and how we can live better. Thank you so much. It's really my pleasure to hear that good presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Awesome. Okay. Any other comments, ladies, before we move on to our next speaker?
Whip here.
Thanks, Ruth.
Paula,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's surprising how small things build up to bad habits, especially in terms of what we are consuming. And when you started, especially when Ruth was still introducing you, in my mind, I was just thinking, how difficult is it going to be to actually take advices from you? Because even in your bio, it sounded like you're really dealing with deep stuff, which of course you are. But I love how you simplify your work, how you simplify even the advices that you give us. And it kind of makes it possible for me to think this is a lifestyle I can adopt, and it's easy for me to do it. And it becomes beautiful because you are able to even give tips on how nice we can make this lifestyle to be for ourselves. So there really is a lot that we can do in investing in our health instead of saving for medical aids and hospital bills. So thank you so much. You really laid it out for me to understand as an ordinary person that actually this can be a lifestyle that one can adopt. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Wonderful. Okay, so we will move on to our next speaker, and maybe we'll start, we'll focus on the ladies in Europe and Africa so they can go back to bed or they can go to sleep. So, Stella, if you're ready, Ruth, you've got Stella's bio.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Stella, it's so good to see you again
Thank you.
tonight. So Stella D.M. Klotman is the founder and managing director of Nyotawa Toto consultancy firm, NWCF, in Tanzania and Germany. And Nyotawa Toto, okay, all right, that in Germany, I
Oh,
think it's in
that's
German.
simple.
Stella is also a designer, the author, and she writes books for children's matters. Published online, Amazon.com. You'll find her books there. She's an advocate of the High Court and other subordinate courts there to accept primary courts. Stella is a former state attorney who worked with the Directorate of Public Prosecution, headquartered in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. She holds a postgrad diploma in law, mediation, and arbitration, and successfully qualified as a private mediator arbitrator in commercial disputes in 2011. She has extensive experience working in a multicultural environment, and she has served under different international organizations like the UNHCR as child protection assistant and Africa as a gender-based violence and child protection specialist. She holds membership in the following bodies: Tanganyika Law Society, Tanzania Women's Lawyers Association, East Africa Law Society, Germany Christ and Jurist, Tanzania Fellowship of Evangelical Students Association. And for more information, you can contact her. I think we'll put the details in the banner. You can contact her via email, via WhatsApp, or visit her website, which is wnyotawatoto.org. Thank you, Estella. Welcome. And the stage is all yours, my sister.
Thank you so much, Ruthie. Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Yeah, it's my pleasure really to be in this wonderful platform today, and I'm here. I hope I can encourage even a one woman or a one person. I believe so. So I start by saying like this. I can share something like this. Your story, her story, my story. You know, I think you understand why I start like saying like this. We are in the Women's Summit about her story. So actually, I really feel so much excited actually to be here today. And my story today, it's a simple encouragement story. I know we hear a lot, we have a lot to explain, to share, to talk. But today, my story, personal, today, I want to say never underestimate the power of a woman or a power of a mother. I am a woman, I am a mother, and never underestimate your power also as a woman. You know, we women, we have a strong power to make wonders, to change the world, to speak it up, even to make other things to come to pass, because we have a power in us which is really strong power that we can even change the world. Of course, I want to start by saying this. Usually in our community or in our society, we have some mind beliefs that women are not strong enough. Women are weak. Women are incapable. Women are not smart enough. But today, I want to encourage one woman, or I want to encourage this platform, or anyone in the world who is a woman, that you have a power enough, you're strong enough, you're capable enough to make changes, to do anything as long as you have a dream in you. And of course, I want also to encourage people to know that your dream, if you have a dream, always dream come true, and always dream has to come to pass as long as you have faith, you have hope in you, and you believe in yourself. Of course, I have a vivid example that I can prove today. Women leads. We have a lot of examples in our community, in our society, in our countries, how women do wonders. I come from Tanzania right now. The head of our state, or the president of United Republic of Tanzania, she's a woman. So I can tell you, women leads. In Deutschland, we had Angela Merkel. She was a woman. Though now she's retired, but she was. And she do a very marvelous work in this community as well. So I want to encourage you as a woman. I want to encourage you, everybody. If you have a mother, yourself as a woman, or you are a mother also, you hear me and you listen to me right now, you have to understand, never underestimate the power in you. Of course, my story can be her story, a certain woman's story maybe, or your story as well. So I want to encourage you today in my story about dreams, that always dreams come true, or it has to pass if you believe and you have also some energy to do something. Of course, I can start saying like this in a simple way. Believe in your dream. I'm always like to show something to demonstrate, because actions speak louder than words. So you see how I say like this: believe in your dream, know your identity, know who you are, because I know also who I am. So always we need to know that dreams comes true, and you have to believe in your dream. You have to know that you should not lose hope. Sometimes we pass in a different scenario, hardship. We have different stories. We have different background. We have different mentality. It's true, and it's okay. But I want to encourage you, one woman, whether you pass in a hardship, in a difficult, in any scenario that you are right now, never lose hope. Never lose faith. Believe in yourself and know that you are capable to achieve, because there is a power or capability inside you. Usually, I know you know your identity. We women, or as a woman, I know my identity and I know who I am. First of all, I want to encourage you by doing like this. I start like this to tell you like this: you're capable, you can make it. It's amazing when I say know your identity. Why? Because you have to be positive. Be positive. That is number one. Second, you have to be confident. You have capability in you, and be confident that you can make it. And also, you have to be aware. Awareness. You have to be aware that everything is possible in life. And the third thing, you have to be sure that anything that you want to achieve in life, in this world, you have to be sure that you can make it, as long as you know who you are and you know your identity. The last thing that I can tell you like this: believe in yourself. You have to believe that you have inner power in you, extraordinary power that can be helping you to achieve what you want to achieve after realize who you are. I know most of women, sometimes we pass in a lot of trouble, upside and down, calamities, problems, challenges. Challenges are there for us also. It's a way that can make us more stronger and can make us to think better, to know better, to work better, even to improve ourselves in our future. Also, even right now, maybe you might be in a scenario that you say, oh, I don't see a way. How can I achieve this? I don't know how can I make this way. I want to assure you, I'm a witness as a woman. Have awareness, and I wish you to get awareness on this matter about dreams. You have to dream bigger, no matter what. Don't look on yourself up like, oh, how can I make it? Okay, I'm so weak. Hey, this environment does not make me too much forward. It is true. Sometimes you can be even in a foreign land. I'm in a foreign land right now. It's not easy, I cannot tell you guys. But always I encourage myself and I say, I know who I am. I know I have power in me. I know I can make it. I know where there is a barrier, there is a way, there is opportunity. And always I see problem in my life as opportunity. I can be a witness today. Here I am because I see I had a dream and my dream come true. So I want to encourage you again. Arise and be strong as a woman. Arise and be strong as a woman. I just remind you, arise and be strong as a woman. Because if you are weak, it's like you weaken your heart, you weaken your soul, you weaken your body, you weaken your mind, you weaken your capacity, you are thinking too much forward. I can assure you, challenges in life are there, but are there so we can face it. We can overcome it. That's why we are women. So I want to encourage one woman who is watching me right now. Challenges, there must be there. Mind you, you have to say yeah or no, or yeah or bitte, or nine, or yes or no. You have to be sure it will be there, but you are overcomer. You can make it. You can change the world. You can change your world. You can change your thinking. But first of all, you have to believe in yourself that I can make it. I can change it. I love a 5 lovely be in the life. I can tell you again, I demonstrate always. You have to know this. 5 be in life. First of all, as I told you, believe in yourself that you can make it. Be sure everything is possible. Be aware nothing is permanent in life. Example, problems. Always problems are there. Tomorrow, today, or day after tomorrow. But they are just temporal. They are not stay forever. Be confident that you can achieve it no matter what. I can assure you, you can achieve it no matter what. Whether you pass in a scenario where you don't see even a way, you don't see even how can I achieve this, or how can I go out of this problem. But I want to assure you, be confident. There is a time you'll testify, as I told you right now. Be positive. You know, most of the time I have one word I usually tell some women, even myself, I encourage myself every day. I usually like to live in a positive vibe. VV, positive vibe. Why I say positive vibe? Avoid yourself to live in a negative vibe or vibration. You know, sometimes you know, phone they vibrate sometimes. It's a vibration, it's a vibe. So, mind you have to connect yourself with people with a positive vibe. Thank God for this platform of Herstory Women Summit. It's a positive vibe for every one of us as a women. We have to know that when we stay away from the negative vibe and connect yourself in a positive vibe, it gives you more power, more energy, more knowledge, and more capability to march forward and to do wonders. So why should I stay in a place where there is a negative vibe? Because it can kill my dreams, it can kill my mentality or my mental, or it can destroy even my thinking because it's negative. But if you connect yourself with a positive vibe group or people or women or any other place where they are always having a positive mentality, it is good for your health, it is good for your heart, it is good also for your peace, the inner peace. Usually I remind you as a woman who you are watching me, or all the women who are watching me right now, you have to avoid some 5 or 7 or more than that. But for me, I have today only 7 doors that you have to avoid. The 7 negative doors. You should avoid to step in it. The first door is the word impossible. Avoid it, because you have to know everything is possible if you believe it and if you really wish to be so. Avoid the door saying not easy. It is not easy. No way. No chance. It's a door also. I won't make it. You will never make it. I will never make it. Avoid it. It's a door also that can step you and put you down and make you more making your brain or your heart or anything that concern about your life to go away. Your energy, it can suck your energy. So avoid that door. Avoid that door that you say you are a failure. It's a door. You are not smart enough. It's a door. You are not capable. It's a door. So when you see those doors, avoid it. But I want you to know that the only door that we can step always in our life, in our network, we have to remind one another, or we have to remind each other that everything is possible if you believe. Is one door. Believe in yourself is a second door. Never be discouraged is a third door you have to enter in. Never give up. It's a very nice door. You have to enter every day. You should not leave it. When it's open, you have to enter it, and you have to have mentality like, I should not give up in life, because everything is possible if I really see it. And have self-confidence. Most of the time we are failure, or we fail because we don't have our self-confidence that we can achieve it, we can make it, we have energy enough to pursue something. And you have to know the door, the very important door in life to avoid failure and to be in a successful way. It's a door of integrity. It's very important. And the last door, the positive door, is face your giants. Never run away from the problem. You have to face it. Most of the time, we as a women, even myself sometimes, I feel to run away. We have a lot of story to tell, really, but today I want to encourage you. Face your giants. No matter what, face your giant. And last thing I want to share with you, like food for thought. I really thank mothers, especially my mama. My mama trained me, and I thank God for her. She trained me to believe in a Viva Viva. Viva Viva. What does it mean? Positive Viva. Viva Viva is a positive Viva. So, Viva to all women in the world. We can make it if we stand together, and we can achieve in life. So never lose hope, believe in your dream, and you have to know that dreams comes true always in life. No matter what scenario, where you come from, where you are born, which life you pass through in your life, what village you come from. I know we have a lot of mentality in our cycle, in our village, in our place where we reside. Even anywhere you go in the world, you will face challenges. But challenges are there as an opportunity to make you to march forward in a better way. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Stella.
Yeah.
Absolutely inspirational. Let me just get our
Very.
panel together for our Q&A session. So my question for you, I'm always curious to know about the woman behind the story. Whenever I see an
Yeah.
African woman in the diaspora somewhere, my first question is, how did you end up in Germany of all places?
Oh, thank you so much. Actually, I'm residing in Germany because of a family reunion. I'm married here in Germany. My husband is coming from Deutschland. He's a Deutscher. So I married here in Deutschland, actually. That's the reason why I'm here. Yeah. I'm here for the
Okay.
family purpose because of love. You know, love brings us together. Yeah.
Love is a good reason to go to the other side of the world for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely inspiring. We have a few comments coming in from YouTube. Thank you very much. So let's go around the room, ladies, and pick Stella's brain on how she came upon these amazing philosophies of life. Ruth.
What a positive presentation, the VV, positive vibe, there's so many nuggets that I just took from your presentation, Stella. And
Thank you.
I think something that really stood out for me is that challenges are everywhere and they are part of life, wherever you go. And you have to know that challenges will make us do things better and make us stronger for the next one, I suppose, which is what life is all about. And I just wanted to find out. So you're sitting on a number of, or you're doing a number of projects both in Germany and in Tanzania. Are you traveling between the two continents?
No. Right now, I can't be a liar. I usually do online because most of the time I do consultants work. For instance, of course, as I said, I'm a designer. Usually, I can, for instance, in this forum, I can talk. Maybe I can create something. It's how I work right now because of the issue of corona
Pandemic.
issue. It's a pandemic matter. I can't say I travel no at all. And I usually do consultants. It's like I get consultants work if I get an opportunity I work. But currently, because I'm residing in Germany here in Tanzania, I can say it's like I can't say I'm working there really in a real sense, but I usually do online because specialize on children matters. That is my passion as a woman. In that area, I usually right now I write some books. You can see on Amazon, I write a lot of books actually. And I used to do like advocating, doing like activists, because I know the world right now, it's like a single village. Here we are. Gertrude, she's in Australia right now. I'm in Germany. We communicate, we talk. So I use most of the platform to send messages, to share my work, to do some stuff. And apart from that, also I use most of the time my online services. It's right now I can say most of the time I use because of this scenario how we are right now in the world. So it's not easy actually, and with this pandemic I can't say I do a lot, but I'm starting a little bit moving forward, because for me this pandemic, it's a problem, yes, but it's an opportunity also for us to do something as a women. Here we are in the platform, we can't cry like, it's a pandemic, oh, what can I do? You don't even think about anything. Thank God Gertrude is here. Ruth, you are there. I'm here also. Paula is there. We can do something even though we have challenges in the world. So usually I use a platform with the communication way, using a networking, sometimes doing, in a business you can do even consultants in a like online, you can do physical, but right now I can say 100% I do by online because it's the way how it is right now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
I
you,
don't know if
Ruth.
I answered the question correctly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paula, do you have anything to contribute? We'll just go around the room.
Yeah, sure. Amazing. I love the positive. I think you should make it t-shirt. I don't know if you have already, but I love you. I love your spirit. I would love to again my whether it's live or even Clubhouse, that's worldwide. But yeah, I love your spirit. I love your positivity. I think about doing some merchandise with that because I think it'd be a good trademark.
Yeah.
I look forward to staying in touch. Great, great, great. Great. What's the word I want? Just such inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Selena,
Oh, it's a
welcome.
little bit
Good to see
problem
you.
with the internet, but it's okay. Yeah, I didn't catch all of the stuff because of the internet issue. Yeah, but I really appreciate Paula also. It is my pleasure.
Thank you. Selena, welcome. Introduce yourself. Others haven't met you yet. Say where you are.
I'm Selena Cheshire. I'm in the UK. I'm 56 years old. Today I've got my granddaughter. She's sleeping. I had two of them. One just left. So thank you so much, Stella. It's just amazing. The positive encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Beauty, Liliana, Buiswa, Whip. Just indicate if we have anything to share before we move on to our next speaker.
I just wanted to say that she's absolutely inspiring, and I love the whole positive vibe because it does make a difference how you face your circumstances. We're still going to have the issue. It's how you look at it, and I'm Italian, so Stella means star, and that's exactly what she's like. It's like a bright, shining star. It was amazing.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Liliana.
Thank you.
Beauty.
Thank you so much, Mama Stella. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Mama Stella. I love your presentation style. I think we've become so comfortable with virtual presentations that we've forgotten this old way of doing things. I love the charts that you've been sharing with us. It just gets to show the amount of preparation you put into this. And like everybody has said, your message was very inspiring, very much so. Thank you so much.
Thank you too,
Fantastic.
Beauty. It's my pleasure. Nice to meet you also. We are strong enough, we are capable, and we can make it. together we can make it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, do we move on to our next speaker? Our next
Yes,
speaker is
yes, let's
Beauty.
do that.
Ruth, would you like to introduce Beauty, and then it will be you, Liliana?
All right. So welcome, Beauty. Welcome to our tribe. Okay, I am just
Thank
trying to
you.
scroll through. Okay, so she says she's Beauty Kujinga Ni Nida, and she's 35 years and is Zimbabwean. She has a degree in records and archives management, currently studying masters in strategic management. She works as a site manager at a service station and a senior patron at Ignite Africa charity organization. She enjoys helping people a lot, and she's the founder of BJ Closet. Yes, so that's Beauty. Welcome, Beauty, and welcome to our tribe. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Ruthie. Um, my name is Beauty Kujinga, as you've heard. I'm 35 years old. I grew up in good rural area. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. My son is 4 months old. He's my last born. My life history is complicated, but I would share some with you. I work as a site manager at a service station. It's a male-dominated area. I also work voluntarily at Ignite Africa charity organization. I would like to tell you how I started. I started working as a housemaid at the age of 19. The family I was working for were very nice, and they treated me like their own daughter. They encouraged me to read books, and it was really hard for me to work as a maid because it was my first time to separate with my family, and also on time management. It was a bit challenging because I was very childish by then, but I managed it very well, and I got employed at Spa in 2011. I got employed as a cleaner. I was promoted within a month, and I was a tour operator. I then approached my manager and requested to be shifted to work at a substation as a kiosk cashier. And I worked as a kiosk cashier for 3 months. Then I was promoted to be a pump attendant, and I was promoted again to be an assistant supervisor. I got promoted again to be a site supervisor. Uh, in August 2019, we opened a new branch here in Chivu. I got promoted to be a site manager. I enjoy charity work very well. That's why I am a voluntary worker at Ignite Africa charity organization. The aim of this project is to reduce absenteeism from school by providing sanitary towels to needy girls. Let me say that too often adolescent girls face intersecting disadvantages because of their age, gender, ethnic background, sexual identity, religion affiliation, income, disability, among other compounded factors. I have seen pictures evoked images of girls in different situations that live with disadvantages, even without crisis. The perception and reality of vulnerability arising out of these multiple intersectionalities really creates that context of discrimination and differentiated impact of crisis. Growing up in rural areas taught me that we must be outraged about the disadvantages that girls still experience. That's why I am more into giving, because I grew up in rural areas. We were so in need of pets, but we couldn't find them. We couldn't afford them, and my mom passed away when I was only 10. So
growing up with my father, it was quite difficult for me to tell my father that I need sanitary towels. It was a challenge. That's why I joined Ignite Africa, so that I can provide those girls in need. What we do in Ignite Africa is that we go in the community, we look for sanitary towels from the private sectors and other peoples, so that we provide those sanitary towels to the needy girls. Uh, that's what I enjoy most, because I've seen most girls in trouble. I've seen most girls in trouble at school because they didn't have those things. So I thought I should venture into something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Beauty. We'll bring our panel on. It's interesting that you're bringing up the topic of girls getting access to sanitary pads. You know, this has been a discussion we've been having since the beginning of the summit. The Herstory movement is actually trying to start a women's cooperative in Zimbabwe. We've had some sewing machines and overlockers donated to us by a wonderful woman in California. And I really commend you for working in this area, because we know just how much it means when girls don't get access to basic things like sanitary pads. They drop out of school. You can't do anything unless you have the right facilities to keep you in school. So I love your work. We would love to see how we can support as well where we can. My question for you is, the nonprofit that you're working with now, are they making the pads there in Zimbabwe?
Currently, we are not making pads because we do not have sufficient funds, but we are sourcing pads from other companies.
Okay. So I guess it would be more sustainable if you had that ability to make them
Yes,
locally, make reusable sanitary pads locally. Is that correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we need to catch up with you. We're busy trying to raise the funds to ship sewing machines and overlockers. We've been given a pattern by a woman in California. So now we're just trying to source the funds to get the machines to Zimbabwe to start a women's cooperative. So thank you so much. Now I understand why you are connected to us. You know, sometimes we meet people, we're not sure what the connection really is.
Yes,
I get it now. Thank you for reaching out and coming and sharing the story.
you're
Now, you
welcome.
did a lot for yourself, starting off as a maid. Tell me what that journey was like. Did you correspond to do your degree? How did you get your studies in between all of this?
Okay, when I finished my O levels, I passed 5 O levels, but my father couldn't find money for me to go to university. So I have to work so that I can fund myself. I funded myself and I go to Zou University while I was working. I then proceeded to masters at Great Zimbabwe University, where I am currently doing like now.
Fantastic. We have a question from a dear friend of mine who's watching us on Facebook. Ron, it's good to see you there. I think you are based in California. Thank you for tuning in. It's always wonderful to have men taking an interest in women's issues. So, Ron, we had got a quote just before COVID to ship the sewing machines and overlockers and everything we needed in California. Unfortunately, we're having to go back to the shipping agency. The tariffs on shipping because of COVID are very high. It was 15,000 the last time I checked, and it's enough for us to employ 100 women in Zimbabwe to start this nonprofit. So I would love to catch up with you after today and see if you could help us get this product to Zimbabwe. It is needed. A lot of children in rural parts of Zim do not go to school if they have a period. Our government is not importing menstrual product that the poor can afford. So there's a big disadvantage for young African girls. So thank you for chiming in there, Ron. I really appreciate that. I will definitely get in touch with you and see if you can help us. You're now in Chatsworth, you said. Thank you for the correction. But it's good to see you on the call. So let's go around the room, ladies. Here is a young woman who has dedicated her life to something that she experienced, and it looks like she's dropped off. I know the connection in Zimbabwe is a bit challenging today, so I'm really glad she managed to stick around and share her story. She might pop back in, but let's just have a little bit of a discussion around Beauty's presentation. She will watch this afterwards. And Ron, I might just invite you to join us. Selena, please go ahead. Selena?
Yeah, okay, I was unmuted. So it's like I know I've heard, house girls or maids, and for her, to have that courage, just like what Stella was saying. So it's just working hand in hand. That a woman, once you have something, you want to do something that badly, you can do it, and nothing is impossible. So she just showed that there's nothing impossible. She had it in her heart. I want to succeed. I want to be somebody in my life. And she's bulldozing her way. She's continuing to do it. And well done. I think I've heard people say there's nothing which can stop you from achieving whatever you want but you. Sometimes it's like you think, oh, I'm not good enough. It's just you telling yourself, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. It's impossible. So thank you so much and well done. You're just like my daughter, 35. Well done.
Wonderful. Paula, Stella?
So yeah, I just
Yeah.
what an inspiration! Just amazing story. I, just some young people are go from being a maid to what she's doing.
Paula?
Yes.
Paula? Again, you're cutting in and out, so come a little bit closer like what you did when you were presenting. Is something interfering with your connection there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, all right. Just wanted to say that I thought she was just such an inspiration, to go from being a maid to doing what she's doing and getting into communities. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength. So I just commend her and I thank her. Thank you for sharing. And in
Thank
any
you.
way I can help, I will. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Stella?
Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Also, I really congratulate the lady, the woman, because she really bring a positive vibe also in our community, even in Zimbabwe, because we believe one can stand and change the world, really. She did a very wonderful work, really, which is really inspired, and it can inspire many people. And when you bring something to the community, really, you save life. So I can assure her, we can support her. I can support her as a woman when she need either ideas, knowledge, anything that we can do, we can do. I can't say I have a lot, but whatever I have, I can really be ready to share my time, my energy, my money. If I have also money enough, for instance, to share a little bit, I can do, because I believe she stand in the gap to make something better in the community. So really, I congratulate her for the well done job. Keep it up. There is no any limit, and everything is possible. Your voice is our voice, and our voice is your voice. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stella. I think the important thing for us as African women in the diaspora is that we can tap into our networks,
Yeah.
our colleagues, our friends. If we just have to share the story and bring on board support from our peers who are here in Western countries to help us pull this off. You know, when the last time I went to Zimbabwe, women were using bark, they're using rags, whatever they can find when they have a cycle, and it's not acceptable. The infections that come out of that, it's a challenging environment. So we can do something about it, but we have to create a solution that is sustainable, which is why we decided to start a women's cooperative and make the pads in Zimbabwe. So we'll need money, we'll need resources to buy the fabric, the wool, the sheathing, and stuff like that. So we will send you information once we've got everything kind of up and running.
Okay.
Welcome, Wazanai. Thank you for coming in. Just tell everybody where you're based. I know you might have missed the last presenter. Tell us where you are.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Wadzanai Garwe. I'm based in Italy, in Rome, and I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I
Wonderful.
work here.
Fantastic. So you're going to be the speaker just after Liliana is next. Another question from Ron. Do you mean to say that they're using tree bark? That's exactly what is happening in rural parts of Zimbabwe, Ron. There is no product. And if they're little girls, they don't go to school if they have a period. That's the reality for most people in rural parts of Zimbabwe. The product is very expensive. So Ron is going to come on board and help support us with this as well. Being in the United States, I need to get a whole lot of support from people in the US to get this product from California to Zimbabwe. So another comment from Ron. Okay, thank you, Ron. We need to create a huge movement. And it's not just Zimbabwe, it's other parts of Africa as well. So if we can start the pilot in Zim, we can replicate it throughout Africa. That's really the vision and the mission. Thank you, ladies. Ruth, are you there? I know Ruth was having problems with her connection. And Whip, would you like to contribute something before we move on? These two ladies are in Zimbabwe and South Africa and having challenges with connections today. So we'll move on to our next speaker. Liliana is our next speaker. And Whip, are you still with us?
Hi, Sisketi. Yes, I am still here. Still so
Okay.
moved by the last story that we just heard. Mama Stella had just given us the type of women we need to be. And I see a lot of that in our last speaker. More than anything, the work that she's doing is of such selflessness that I moved myself. I know how much the issue of girls not being able to go to school just because of sanitary pads. I'm just moved by what she's doing, and I'm humbled to also be part of this group. And I know for sure that there's a lot of great things that are going to come out of this. I am so proud to be a part of this.
Thank you, Whip. I'll ask you to introduce our next speaker. Her bio is in the chat there.
Thank you so much. I will do just that. Oh, Lillian, looking so beautiful right there. Lillian, a job developer and a mentor who helps mothers and daughters coming out of difficult situations to find viable solutions to life's challenges while using her business skills her, while using her business skills to enhance confidence in those women and empower them to start their own cosmetics business as a means of self-sufficiency. Before starting this work, Lillian worked for a number of years as a resident aide and house manager. After a successful career as founder and president of her own NPO, Lillian now trains and coaches young women. Lillian, we look forward to hearing from you. I'm impressed already by what I've just read in your bio. You are yet another selfless woman on this platform. We can't wait to hear from you.
Hi, it's such an honor to be here. Is my audio okay? Because we're having some rain in New York, so the computer goes in and out as well. Can you hear me?
Your audio is fine. I'll ask you to
Okay.
center yourself a little bit because you are to the far left. Go a little bit to the right.
That better?
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
So yes, the name of my initiative is Going Deeper, and also DBA as Making Beauty from Their Ashes, out of the biblical scripture in Isaiah, where God takes ashes and makes beauty. I'm a trauma impacted woman who has been through a situation that was financially, emotionally, spiritually devastating to me. And I just felt the calling to help other women who have been through these situations. And for women who've been through any kind of trauma, any kind of impact, they have suffered in a way that continues, because once you go for employment, you have either a criminal history background or you've been involved in domestic violence, and all of that comes up and it influences the employer's decision. If you're looking for housing and you've been in those situations, you have credit issues, so you can't get housing. So I just felt the call and the need to help women who've been through those situations, to facilitate the process for them. And sadly, I started this initiative right before COVID, 2 months before we became locked down. And so I never had the opportunity to really raise the capital, because I started it and in February of 2020, and by March of 2020, we were completely locked down, and the world as we knew it had stopped. Um, I was no longer working during that time. So soon after we finally reopened in New York, I began to just filter my own funds into the initiative, and then became unemployed for 6 months. So again, everything was on a standstill. I just became employed again 2 weeks ago, and so I'm trying to catch up with my personal life as well as filter the business, because what we're trying to do now is brand our own cosmetics company. It's called Compassion Cosmetics. And with that, once it's branded and we open up and we have like pop up locations, we will begin to employ the women who've been trauma impacted, either as sales, as cosmetologists, anything in that area. So now we're just stuck. It's just a little bit of money, but we're stuck because we can't finish getting it branded since I was unemployed for so long. But the whole purpose is really about giving women a fresh start. It's where beauty meets second chances. And everybody deserves a second chance. It doesn't matter what you've been through, what you've done, what experience you've had. It's about a new beginning and a fresh start. And so many companies and so many housing authorities are unwilling to do that for somebody. And they never get to know the person or what their circumstance could have been. There's people who are incarcerated because of their mates. There's people who are in a domestic violence situation and can't find their way out because of financial situations. There's youth in the foster care system who are in there because of situations at home where they were not allowed to return to their home. And all these things is something that they're not really responsible for, but they're being blamed for. And there's all these stigmas and labels. And in fact, I just helped co-write a book called Outliving the Labels. It became a #1 bestseller. The author is Mary Kay Holmes, and she's the person who actually inspired me to go out and do my own thing, because it's very, very hard for these women. And I'm just trying to make a change in their lives and be a positive role model. And like so many women on this panel said, it is about positivity. It's about believing in yourself, believing in your dream, and it can happen some way, somehow. Right now, we're stuck. We can't get the labels on the product over a tiny bit of revenue, but it's going to happen. God provides. And even a forum like this might be able to help us move forward so that we can help and bless these women and provide them, because they are so forgotten in our society. And even again, we were speaking about hygiene products. That's also a problem. It's a problem in the prison systems. It's a problem in the halfway houses where there's not enough supply. Even here in a great country like America, where we're supposed to have such supply and demand, these women don't have access in those type of facilities. So we're trying to make a difference in that capacity, and hopefully a voice is heard, and I can be a voice for many of these women who are afraid to stand up and talk about their needs or talk about their situations, and let the world know that they have a voice, that they're important, that every life matters. And just because you've been through a circumstance or you took a misstep in your path doesn't mean that you're not worthy of a home, that you're not worthy of employment, and of all the things that other people have. They are just as worthy. And sometimes people who have been through those situations, they'll come out of it and forget those behind them, and they might not remember what it was like at that time. And I made a commitment that I would never be like that, that I was going to reach back out and help those coming behind me. So hopefully through this and many other panels we can make a difference in their lives. And I appreciate this opportunity, Gertrude. It was a blessing. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Liliana, for coming and sharing. You know, women are struggling in all four corners of the world. Doesn't matter where you are, the challenges are very similar. We might be in different locations, and sometimes we don't even understand the challenges that are on the ground for women in the United States. So, thank you for shining a light on that.
No problem.
Now, the question I have is the cosmetic business that you're involved in. Does it mean that women can actually white label and brand the cosmetics for themselves with their own branding? How does it work?
Yes, absolutely, and that's what we started to do. And like I said, then I lost employment, and we still have some money to pay off to the dropship company that's doing it. But once we get it started and it begins to sell, then we're going to sponsor other women. And yes, they can brand it with whatever name they like. I chose Compassion Cosmetics for us, but someone else can come in and do it under whatever name they want and use it as a mode of self sufficiency. So we're almost
Fantastic.
there, almost at that door.
That's awesome. Yeah, COVID has put a spanner in the works for a lot of organizations and companies. Just the shipping is a big issue right now. But I'm sure things will start to come right in the new year. So we'll go around the room. Selena, I don't know, do you have anything you want to contribute? Questions for Liliana?
Yeah, I think, yeah, as you said, it's just like women. We are all most of the places where we are, whatever you are. I think we are, you know, taken sometimes too much for granted, and we don't get what we deserve. So I think it's good to be here. It's good to be on this platform to just pull each other and support each other, and just to know that we matter. Whatever people think about us, but we matter. We are worthy. So all of us, we are worthy. So let's continue. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, somebody's trying
Okay.
to enter, but it's full.
Lillian,
Yes.
hi, thank you. I actually have a comment, and it's one that just made me feel like I've met the person that I've been looking for. So one of
Wow.
the things that I started doing this year was to evaluate and check women's life cycle, especially when it comes to financial matters. And one thing that I found out based on my own personal story and the research that I've done is that women suffer from starting all over, be it out of relationships, be it out of marriages. Women are the first one to go out there and rebuild anew. And it is in that state where most of them, one, either fall into wrong relationships because they need some sort of support. So for you to come out and do something like that, you have just pinpointed to me some of the solutions. that one can bring about when trying to change either their own lives and also help others in the same way. Because one thing that I've learned is that women, as strong as Mama was explaining to us what type of women we need to be. One of the worst things that we have to deal with is rebuilding. It reminds me of Sisketi's story when I learned how she moved from one place to another, sustaining her life as a single mother until the time when she had to rebuild her life again as a married woman. So many of us fail in that path because we cannot carry through to the point where she is now. But it is stories like yours and the things that you're doing that are going to help many women actually master the rebuilding of their lives, because that's where I find a lot of women falling short and end up falling into abusive relationships because they need somebody who can help them rebuild their lives.
Thanks so
Absolutely,
much,
and
Web.
that was it just touched my heart that you said that, because that is my goal. It is very difficult to rebuild and it takes a lot of strength, and especially when you don't feel like you're being supported. There's a lot of people who don't support, who don't understand, and it's a challenge. So if we can touch one life and make one difference, it's important. And hopefully women throughout your your panel will hear this and be inspired that you can start over. Some people have to start over several times before they make it. But don't be discouraged. There is hope.
Wonderful. Ladies, I'll ask you to mute yourselves if you're not talking so we don't get background noise. Stella, do you have anything to contribute?
Yeah, I really appreciate for Lillian for her good presentation, even sharing with us her amazing story. I feel to tell to Lillian, you are very sweet aroma because you bring sweet and sweet smell to the community where you are really. And you really inspire me also for what you have already started doing or what you are doing really. And I thank God because I believe there is a purpose even to meet you, Lily, today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Paula.
Yeah, such an inspiration. I don't know if you remember me saying that I worked in a prison. The prison I worked in was all, let me pull this up so I can hear me better, was an all male prison. So I actually read this book called Shakespeare Behind Bars, and it was about the Framingham Eight. Read it sometime, but it really gives you a different perspective on women in prison, a whole new perspective. You know, they need all the help they can get if they get out. So I commend you on what you're doing. Definitely look into getting grant money. There's a lot of grant money out there right now. I found this one guy on YouTube. He's called Rod, ROD, Squad, SQUAD. Look him up on YouTube. He like posts all kinds of information about getting money, and even more than just grant money. So check that out because he really posts a lot of free information. So you might be able to get grant money for doing that. So thank you
Great.
so much for sharing. And I'll
Thank
help you
you.
any way I can because I'm only a couple states over. I'm only in North Carolina.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I've got a lot of connections, so we'll connect. Absolutely.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Paula, can you put a link to the Rod Squad, if it's a YouTube channel he has, put it in the chat so I can share it? The thing about these videos is that they're going out to other women in the United States who might also want these resources. So if we have anything to share that can help somebody else, let's share it. Ruth, I'm not sure if you're still with us. Wadzanai, Ruth, and Buyuswa. And Beauty, I know you're having challenges with your internet. We'll just add you back in there. Any contributions, ladies, to Liliana's presentation before we move on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Now, Liliana, I love your strength, your courage and your strength and your positivity. You've stayed positive even after you lost your job and kept on the dream. Well done for this initiative. And I love the name for this product, Beauty for Their Ashes. Yeah, and I love that scripture, that particular verse as well. What I wanted to ask is, are you doing this with your own daughter? I may have missed it because I dropped out at some point.
No, actually, I have a son, but it's just
Okay.
something that just came to me because of my own experience, my own traumatic experience, and then coming out of it and not having any support and not having anyone to help, and just the difficulty of getting back on my feet. And I always feel that God takes us to a situation so that we can bring others through a situation. And like I said, a lot of people don't see it that way, and they forget what it's like to have been in the position. But I don't want to be like that. And I definitely want to make a difference and change some lives. And I really appreciate Gertrude. We've been trying to do this for a while, giving me the opportunity to speak. And as she has told me before, nobody meets by accident. And I feel like something amazing will come out of this, whether it's something to help my organization or if we can service you in some way. You just never know what, God is ordaining.
Yes, and
Yeah, that's beautiful.
your story just confirmed what Stella was talking about, that if you believe in your dreams, no matter what, your dreams will come true. So thank you for sharing.
Thank
Absolutely wonderful. Well, Zanai, I don't know if you have anything to contribute on YouTube before we move on.
I was just so moved by Liliana's story, and it's so important that we understand that when women come out of various situations, whether it's domestic violence or whatever it is, how much they lose and how much time they lose because they're starting from scratch. So I just wanted to commend you, Liliana, and
Ladies and
to
gentlemen, welcome to December 7th, 2020 in
Sorry about that.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to commend your spirit and the fact that you don't want to leave any woman behind, because I think this is the important thing in life, that we don't leave women behind, because it is very difficult. And I think I've heard the patriarchy saying now that, oh, women have so many organizations, they have so much going on, but nobody actually understands the struggle of starting from scratch at an older age. When you've got kids, you're a parent,
Exactly. Yes.
and not only are you a parent, you're trying to get a job, you're a breadwinner, you're all these things, and at the same time you're trying to also, quite apart from keeping your mental health together and just keeping positive, you're also trying to make sure that you bring up children with a civic minded children. So I just commend you. I was just so moved, and it's fantastic that you're doing a product that I know is attractive to women. It's something we love. We love beauty. We love aroma, and it's just such a beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're muted, Gertrude.
Yeah.
You're
Okay, so
muted, Sisketi.
we'll move on to our next speaker. Liliana, thank you. There is the YouTube channel for Rod Squad, the guy who's helping people find grants in the US. Anybody out there who's needing these kind of resources, thank you for sharing, Paula. And I'm just going to share Paula's website as well, because we didn't do this while she was speaking. Anybody wants to get hold of Paula, there is her website, enrichyourhealth.com. So please get in touch with Paula. If you have any health issues, any advice, wanting to change your diet and live a healthy, vibrant life. And I will also share Beauty's email address in case anybody would like to reach out to Beauty with regards to helping with her project around young girls and the need for access to sanitary products. So we'll move on to our next speaker. Ruth, you have Wazanai's bio.
I
Is
put it in the chat, and I think because I dropped out at some point, I have no access to that
okay.
previous chat.
So, Whip, you have access to the chat, right?
Yes, I do. I'm actually trying to scroll down. I'm not sure if this was also done before the time I was logged in and out as well.
Okay, all right. Let me access it.
Please.
Thank you. Let's see. Just to clear the stage first. Well, Danai, it's wonderful to finally meet you. Thank you for gracing us with your presence today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for
So,
having me.
I suspect I know you. The Garwe family is very familiar to me, but we will talk after this.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Azanai Valerie Garwe is the mother of two young adults, an author, a mental health and HIV activist, an executive coach, a mentor, and a firm believer in the power of economic empowerment. The name Wadzanai means reconcile or live in harmony in Shona, which is my mother language as well. Wadzanai was born in Zimbabwe, where she did her primary and high school education. She did her undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in the United States. Professionally, Wadzanai is an economist who studied finance and community economics. So we welcome you to the tribe, sister. Thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence tonight. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. I wanted to speak today about living with HIV for 29 years. So, when I was diagnosed with HIV, which was in Zimbabwe in 1992, it was still, I mean, it still is a pandemic, but it was a pandemic and there was no cure. So I want to bring the parallels between the HIV pandemic and what's been happening now with the COVID, because everything about the COVID-19 really triggers me because it takes me back to the HIV pandemic. When I was diagnosed, I was going for an insurance exam. One of my friends said to me, "I'm selling insurance, Wadzi. Please, can you buy some?" And they said, "Okay, go for a blood test, and you will get insurance." And so I went for the blood test. And the next thing I know, I went to collect my results and sign papers. And I literally walked in. I was a young woman. I was maybe 20, 23, 24. I walked in and I was told that I couldn't get insurance because I was HIV positive. At the time, HIV was a death sentence. I was shocked. And my then boyfriend, who became my husband, who is now my ex-husband, was very supportive. And he said, "Well, Wadzi, everybody's going to die at some stage. If you are going to die anyway, you might as well live." So my motto in life is I might as well live. And since then, I have lived my life in technicolor. Now, the thing about having HIV is nutrition. For the first few years of my HIV story, I there were no antiretrovirals, there were no drugs. People were dropping dead like flies. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. 1 in 4 people during that time in Zimbabwe had HIV. So in a group of 4 people, you could rest assured that one person had HIV. People were dying. The actual number of HIV deaths have not been surpassed by the COVID deaths globally. So HIV is still the most the pandemic that has affected our generation the most within this century. And so I was burying my friends. It was not a disease that I could talk about to my parents or to any of my peers, because it brought about a stigma, because HIV is associated with sex. And so here I am, an unmarried young woman, and I am HIV positive. So Who could I tell? I couldn't tell anybody. So I had to keep it to myself. I had to deal with the trauma of understanding that I could die anytime. I had to deal with the trauma of going to bury my friends. And out of this HIV story, I have a few of my coping mechanisms that have helped me really, really live a full life. As Beauty said, I have two children, which I had after I was HIV positive. So one of the things that I would like to tell any woman that is living either with a long-term illness or living with an illness that you can't tell anybody about because of the stigma associated still with HIV. Um, One of the things that I do not do is I do not do toxic people. I do not do toxic people if I'm related to them, if they are my friends. I block and delete like nobody's business because I need to preserve my mental health. And what I do with people is if I'm related to you, I love you from a distance. I just do not do toxicity because toxicity would cause me stress, and stress would deplete my immune system. So this is one of the things that I do not do. I do not do toxicity. The second thing is I live an authentic life. I live in the moment. I tell you exactly what I'm thinking and with compassion. And I am one of those people that lives for today. I really and truly do not, I try not to worry about tomorrow. Of course, being a single parent as I am now, being a breadwinner, having a high pressure job, it's very important that I stay authentic to myself. By not being authentic, I actually ended up having a full breakdown, mental breakdown, ended up in psychiatric care in the UK. And so through that experience, I learned that preserving my mental health is one of the most important things that I could do for myself. The third thing I want to tell every woman on this platform and anybody listening is you've got to love yourself enough to put yourself first. I was in an abusive domestic violence situation. I was being told that my behavior was caused because I had tumors on the brain, because I had HIV. My status was being outed, all sorts of things. And I discovered that it's so important to love yourself enough to walk away. So I walked away from the toxic relationship that I was in. And can I say that ever since walking away, I thrived. And these are some of the lessons I've learned through having this disease. What else has this disease taught me? Science. I believe in science. I am a miracle of science. I do not doubt the fact that I went from being HIV positive with absolutely no antiretrovirals. In 2003, I had a really bad road traffic accident. And if you could see, I don't know if you can see, I have scars on my face. I got glass in my eye. Um, I broke my arm, so my hand doesn't work. I have nerve damage. I also broke my collarbone. I lost I don't know how many pints of blood. So in 2003, I had this very bad road traffic accident, which ended up in my having to then start taking ARVs. So from 1992 until the 2003, I survived on merely nutrition. When I had my second daughter, my second child, who's a daughter, I have a son and a daughter. My son is 27, my daughter is 23. With my first pregnancy, my CD4 count, which is how they measure the HIV in your system, was still very high. So I had my first son, he was born HIV free, and I was still very healthy. With the second daughter, I had to take 14 tablets 3 times a day, and these things were huge. So I had to swallow 14 pills 3 times a day in order for her not to be born without HIV. I also had to have a cesarean, and I could also not breastfeed with the second child because the science had improved. And so why I believe in the science is that today now I only have to take one pill a day. I take it in the evening, and that's what keeps me alive. So the science has improved from 14 pills 3 times a day to one pill a day. And I'm alive. I'm here. I can tell you my health status at any moment because of the science. So this is what I say when we look at the COVID. All the stories around HIV also happened with COVID. We were told that it came from the monkeys in Uganda. It was an African disease. It was a disease that was going to kill us. All these things that are happening with COVID, the people telling us these stories, people telling us that we have to wash with bleach. In when we had HIV, same thing happened. Take chloroquine, wash with bleach. All the parallels, as I'm so triggered by it. And sometimes I'm amused, but other times it makes me so sad that social media has made it even worse, because those things, the people, the naysayers, the anti-vaxxers, the whatevers, they are the ones who are limiting us from getting over this disease, and it really bothers me. I am vaccinated fully. I have been following the science. I do everything that one needs to do because I am a miracle of science. So I find it very important. One of the things that I have done to give back, because I have lived this long, I never thought I'd live to 50. I'm 55 now. So having lived this long, the one of the things I do is I give back. One of the ways I give back is I started the Edmund Garwe Trust, which is for child-headed households. And the child-headed households were largely caused by the HIV pandemic. So we sponsor the girl child through education, and we find sponsors for the girl child so that their school is paid for. And in fact, it's not just the girl child, it's both male and female, because any child headed household. And if possible, we try and sponsor every child within the family. So that's the Edmund Garwe Trust that was formed in memory of my father, who was an educator, because I believe that freedom comes through education. If you have education, you're mobile, you can go and live anywhere in the world. You also have choices. One of the most important things for women is being able to have choices and to effect your choices. And the third thing about education is it provides you with freedom, because you have the freedom to read, you have the freedom to information, you have freedom to a lot of things. The second platform that I've started is called African Conversations with Self. African Conversations we started during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, after the George Floyd murders. We realized that there was a lot of talk, and by we, it's a platform run by myself, my cousin Rumbidzai Fende, my niece Gamchirai Mbofana, and my daughter Avery Katsande. So we started this platform because we realized that the George Floyd murder in America had sparked again the conscience of people around how people of color, black people are treated. And so when we looked at the story in the States, it's really a slavery story. And then we thought, but our story of post-colonial Africa is one of colonialism and the effects of colonialism on the people we are and how we have to navigate white spaces. So we started a conversation. We've had over 60 conversations. We have a Patreon site, we have a podcast, and these conversations have healed so many people. Because it's 16 days of activism at the moment against domestic violence. That's why I'm wearing my orange scarf. I've also, today, our discussion earlier today was on domestic violence or intimate partner violence. So these are the sorts of things that I do in order to continue to give back. I talk about my HIV story so that people can see that I am 29 years and I'm here. I live a full life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. I ride a bicycle, I exercise. I have two kids who are now grown, 27 and 23. And so I just want to encourage every woman out there about if you have HIV, it's no longer a death sentence. There are diseases that are worse than HIV. I would never want to have things like diabetes, for example. With HIV, I can live a full life. I don't, nothing is debilitating, and I just need to take my one pill a day. I also wanted to say in closing that the most important thing that I say to every woman that I speak to is that women need to learn to apply what I call the ABC. ABC means attend to your basic needs with compassion. Women are very hard on ourselves. We are our hardest critics. So when you attend to your basic needs with compassion, you learn to apply compassion to yourself. If today the only task that I can do is to get up, I applaud myself for doing that because I have compassion with myself. I have done so much. I've been a mother, I've been a wife, I've been a daughter, I've been a niece, I've been an aunt, I've been a professional. I have so much experience, but sometimes I just don't have the energy to do a lot of what I do. So please, every woman who's listening to this platform, please attend to your basic needs with compassion. Thank you so much for giving me this platform and for allowing me a few words. And HIV is no longer a killer. Thank you so much.
Wow, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, Zanai, this is inspiring. You know, it's all about living with positivity. Um, I have a young brother who died in 2009. So I know your story. I relate. My little brother gave up on life. He bought the story that he was HIV positive and he was going to die, and he did. So to meet someone like you who defied all the odds, I was there in Zimbabwe at the time. I was witnessing the challenges that people were going through, people having to sell their homes just to get access to this medication. And now, when I look at what's happening in the world with COVID and people resisting taking the vaccines, and it doesn't make any sense when the science is pointing to the solution. So, thank you for sharing that. We'll go around the room and thank you for sharing your links. I will put these in the chat as well. That was the biggest take home I got was the ABC. Attend to your basic needs with compassion. Easy to remember. I don't think I'll forget that lesson. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Selena, any feedback?
Well done, Watanai. I really appreciate your coming out because that's the hardest thing to do. I lived with a brother who had, HIV, and he didn't want to tell people what was happening around him. He would just say, "Oh, I'm okay," until his deathbed. You are just what I'm okay. I have my brother-in-law who passed on. My sister just passed on 2019 after he passed on 2000. He did the same. He would never say, "Yes, I've got this." I have people around me who have died because of it. And still to say I live. I've known as well some people who are living with it, who are living a full time just like you. And it's like really so powerful. Just to say, yes, I know. People will say I'm dying and I'm saying no until God says it's time to go. I will go. Otherwise, I don't know. Because otherwise I don't go. I am here to live until I do what I'm supposed to do. So thank you so much, and for I'll follow you. I've just like copied your conversations. Thank you so much. May
It's
God
an
bless you.
abs- it's an absolute pleasure, Selena. One of the things that you need to understand about why people don't come out, the stigma is very real.
I know.
People have lost jobs because of coming out because of HIV.
Mm,
People will use it against you. Just on Facebook the other day, my ex-husband told everybody that I was, crazy and had HIV, and it hurts, right? It's the stigma is very real, and because it's a disease that comes through sex. We're supposed to be good girls.
Good
So how
morning.
does a good girl get HIV?
mm.
So I can imagine that, especially for men, your brother-in-law, your brother, and things like that, to come out and say I have HIV is hard. There are so many people who hide, and I can understand why. But somebody needs to talk about it, and yeah, I'm gonna be that person.
Well done. Thank you.
Let's go around the room. Buyiswa, any feedback, any comments? Buyiswa, are you there? Maybe we move on to you, Ruth. It looks like her video is frozen. If Ruth is still around, otherwise we'll go to you, Stella. The Girls in
Yeah,
Africa challenge today.
yeah. Thank you so much, my sister. We learn a lot about your story, and I want also really to bring more positive vibe according to your ABC approach. Really, I know it's really not easy, as you said, about the issue of people's how they think, what they comment. It's not easy really, and I can't be you, but I can feel it when I step out on that shoes, because I have experience. I can share a little bit why I said like this. I was working with a project in my country in Tanzania with the children who are really having problem with HIV. Parents are no longer. It's not easy really. There is a lot of mental suffering in the family, sometimes in the children itself, and some they are born with HIV. They don't even do sexual intercourse. So I think it's a time now people to have to change the mentality. Like if you have HIV, maybe you have because of sexual intercourse or something like that. Sometimes people they have to think you can even acquire HIV by sharing some stuff. Someone use a razor or a needle, whatever, you can get it, or you can get even in a health facility sometimes, according to the place where you come from. Okay, we thank God now we have advancement of a little bit of science and technology. The story has to change, or it's already changed. But I think it's a time for us to stand and raise awareness in our community, in our family, in around our cycle that HIV is not a barrier. And I thank God what the sister Selena said. We are born by for the purpose in this world. I don't say in a bad way. You can be maybe HIV positive. I cannot be HIV. I might even go today, and you still survive maybe for 10 years or 15 years. It's a grace. We live by grace, I believe. So I think it's a time for us to change our mentality about this is so, that is so. I think it's a time for us to raise more our voice in one accord, in one unity, to do more for the sake of awareness raising, especially in our places where we come from, because I know we have different stories. Your story is different from my story, and my story is different from Dada Gertrude's story. So it's really time for us to stand up in one accord with the Viva Viber to make changes in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Stella.
Thank you, Stella. That is true. Thank you very much.
Paula, any contribution here?
Yeah, I went to school, like in the 80s. So I totally remember the whole AIDS thing. It was a death sentence, they did call it a death sentence. So I do remember all of that. Um, I was scared to death of it. So I commend you for coming out and helping people. I love how you talked about nutrition. It's huge. Nutrition is huge in any illness, whether it's HIV, Lyme disease, autoimmune, or any type of illness. Nutrition's huge. It's number one. I love how you said you don't surround yourself with toxic people, or any toxicity. So I love your spirit too. You and Stella just need to do a broadcast together. And I would love to have you guys on my platform. We need to do something maybe on Clubhouse if you guys are up for it. I would absolutely love that. So you guys are great. I just thank you and commend you for the work that you're doing, and we're glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula. And I would love to do the Clubhouse, and I'd love to do a podcast with Stella, because the more that we educate and inform, because at the moment, I just put in the chat that undetectable is untransmissible, right? I cannot transmit HIV even if I have, sex without a condom at the moment, because I'm undetectable. My viral load is undetectable, right? So we have progressed to the point where I can literally live a completely full life, and But people need to disclose their status, because if you don't disclose your status, you're killing somebody. You can kill somebody, right? So it's so important to learn to be honest about these things. It's just a disease. It's a long-term illness. It's like any other long-term illness, because you're just carrying another. Other people have, I don't know, diabetes or other diseases. This is just another long chronic illness.
And I think the other thing to highlight is that babies are not born HIV positive. The transfer is at birth, at childbirth. And if the mother is taking the antiretroviral drugs, it lowers the viral load. You can safely have an HIV negative baby. That's part of the work that we are also doing in Shurugwi in Zimbabwe, is to help women in rural communities to get access to the ARV drugs, because women can safely breastfeed, they can safely have a baby. The protocol in the 80s, 90s was that HIV positive women didn't breastfeed their children. UN was recommending you don't breastfeed. We ended up with more children dying of secondary infections from unsterilized bottles, giving them formula milk. All of those nutrients, the antibodies that come out of the mother's breast milk was being missed. So the protocol now in the UN is to put the moms on the HIV drugs while they're pregnant, so they safely have an HIV negative baby and they can safely breastfeed as well. So the transmission happens at childbirth from mother to child. No child is positive when they're in utero. So that's another thing that we are working on in Zimbabwe, is to try and build clinics in rural parts of Zim to make sure that women get access to the medication, to the drugs. Buyiswa, you dropped off. Do you have anything to contribute?
Yeah, sorry, Gertrude, I want to top up on that. I think the issue is I think we should raise more awareness. Awareness raising is very important, because there are some rural areas, for instance, we come from different setting, different background. Information is very powerful. Some they don't know. It's like rape, for instance. Someone might maybe have I give an example of rape issue. He's raped, for instance. He don't know. You don't need to take, for instance, shower before you can ruin the evidence, like a forensic evidence for legal medical evidence. Some they don't have that knowledge. So the same apply with the HIV issues. Of course, on the issue of awareness raising, it will open more eyes for women, because this is our issue, I can say, because those who are going to bear children are women, are not men. So sometimes if we are not aware or well equipped, informed, it's really sometimes hard even to understand about medical issue. We come from different setting, different background. You can be born in the city, some are very in a rural area where there is not even access to medicine, for instance. I can give you an example. So thank God nowadays we have a little bit changes. I can acknowledge that. We thank God for that. But still, awareness raising is very important. Thank God for our sister here, the way she talked to even to us. I can be even a good ambassador, not only to talk about her story, but I can get more knowledge, what our sister shared today, to inform others, to educate others, to raise aware, to be in a one voice for the sake of sending a message of compassion to others, that ABC is like this. DFG is like that. So it's easy when we're sharing information, we share, we disclose, we raise our voices. It's very important, because some they don't know what to do. Someone is HIV, for instance, already. She feel ashamed even to disclose, to go and take those medicine for helping him or her. Not
And
everyone
that's
is.
why the story has to go out.
Yeah.
That is why stories are so powerful.
Yeah. And I would say, Stella, you may imagine that it's just rural people, but on HIV Awareness Day, which is the 1st of December, I asked a question: would you marry somebody who was HIV positive? And this was to young people between the age of 18 and 30. And 96% said no. They said no because I don't want to catch AIDS. What I don't believe that person must be promiscuous. All sorts of things. And I had to inform people that some people are born with HIV. They haven't been promiscuous. Some people have got it through blood transfusions before the blood transfusions were made safer. And so it's so important that people understand. And as Paula said, nutrition. I survive on nutrition. Eat good quality food, right? And eat nutritious food. Eat food that you grow by yourself if you can. Anybody can have a small garden where you grow your own tomatoes, your own herbs, your own whatever, even on a windowsill, right? These are the sorts of things that you need to do to stay healthy. But above all, you need to treat every opportunistic infection, because what stops people, what kills people is not the HIV. What kills you is the opportunistic infection. So go to the doctor. If you have flu, I have a flu shot. I'm having it on Wednesday. Go to the doctor when you have an opportunistic infection. So for anything, ensure that you are at the prime of your health.
That is
And
absolutely correctly. Yeah.
your health is your wealth in this case. Buyiswa, I know you wanted to say something. Your connection keeps dropping out. Please contribute. Buyiswa, unmute yourself. Oh, she's having challenges. She put in the chat, I would like to say to Azanai that I can relate to her story because I'm living with HIV for the last 15 years.
That is so amazing, Lisa. Please keep going, my love. Don't stop. Just keep going. And as I said, ABC, attend to your basic needs with compassion. Especially watch the mental health issues, because those are the ones that really take you. You know that when you're HIV positive, you have a higher likelihood of getting depressed, because every day you think, for the longest time, I used to think I could die tomorrow. And my actual breakdown when I turned 50 was because I had not expected to live this long. So because I lived my life as if I was going to die, when I finally had to live completely, I was like, what do I do now? I'm 50, I'm alive, I'm here. What's going to happen? I had a breakdown, right? Because I'd been planning my life to say, even my kids, I brought them up to say, look, you may grow up without a mother, so I need you to grow up. I need you. We built a house, we did everything, very speedily. So just exercise compassion with yourself and safeguard your mental health, please, Buyiswa. It's so important.
Fantastic. What an amazing day we've had so far, ladies. So much learning, so much knowledge has come through. Thank you all for contributing to this dialogue. I'm just going to share a couple of contacts for people who I didn't manage to share your websites when you were speaking. So I've shared Paula's. Buyiswa has also shared her email address. She said if anybody would like to reach out to me, this is her email. I will push it at the bottom here. And I will also share yours, Beauty, in case anybody wants to get in touch with Beauty. So this is Buyiswa's email. It's good that we share this information and stay in touch as well, and don't let this be a one-off thing. What I'm looking for with the Herstory movement is a continuation of these conversations after the events. If there's any collaborations that happen after this, please keep us informed. If you are needing any support, again, let us know what support you're needing. What has since happened is the Herstory movement. This is Beauty's email. We are creating an app called the Diversity Connector that is going to keep all of our speakers, all of the women who've contributed their stories connected. It's going to be developed in 3 phases. In the first phase, it's going to have a course that I've developed, a video course on how to create your signature speech. So it will go out through video automatically through the platform. The second part of this app is to enable telephone technology for women to be paid. So I pitched my idea to the New Zealand, Australia Women in Technology event 2 weeks ago, and I won the first prize of $20,000 to start developing this app. So, in Zimbabwe, we are using cell phones to transact, to pay for our bills. When my parents were alive, I would send them money through their phones. They could go to a supermarket, buy their groceries, they could pay their bills using telephone technology. So imagine a woman in Zimbabwe, somewhere in Africa, she designs a necklace and she takes a picture, sends it to our website through WhatsApp. So everybody knows how to use WhatsApp. And that necklace is picked up by a designer in New York, and the necklace ends up on New York Fashion Week. And the woman who made the necklace is paid what it's worth. A lot of people come to Africa, they buy our product for peanuts. We see them on the runways in all of these fashion events, but the woman who made it didn't get the value that that piece of art is worth. So I'm wanting to connect women in developing countries with women in the first world, so we could help pull our sisters up, and they can get paid using telephone technology. The woman who designed that necklace could do a lecture at a university in Germany, Stella. The Koro sign is known in most cultures. In New Zealand, it's the beginning of life. In Africa, it's got a different meaning. So these are things that we can teach design students, what these symbols actually mean, going back to our traditional ways of being, our traditional art, and going into the world in a big way and educating people. So that's the vision behind the Diversity Connector. And I've just been picked up by a very big venture capitalist company here in Melbourne, Australia, who are now my team in helping develop this app. The third part of what I'm doing is we're going to create a reality TV show based around Herstory. And every woman who comes to the platform is competing, like in a TED Talk, to be a thought leader, to grow her own tribe, and to share her ideas and her story. On the other side, I watch these reality TV shows, and a lot of times I see how popular people get. They get a whole lot of followers following them through social media. They have millions and millions of views on their videos. What if we used those followings to crowdfund? So as you know, when you come onto the Herstory platform, you have to bring a social impact project that you are supporting in your community. If you don't have one, we have hundreds of projects like you have heard this morning. You can plug right into Wadanai's project or Uyiswa's project or Beauty's project. That's what this platform is for. So we become a bridge between women in developing countries, women in developed countries, so we can help pull our sisters up and get these projects up and running in a sustainable way. So the reality TV show is going to be a crowdfunding show as well, where instead of just going online and voting for someone, imagine if 1 million people who are following one particular person give $1 each. We could raise $1 million in a heartbeat. So that's the second part of the app. So watch this space. Please spread the word. Now we have to grow the movement. Your job as speakers is to bring us 10 other speakers. So nominate your friends to come and speak. Ask their permission for their emails. Do an email introduction with our team. We will get hold of them. We're now recruiting speakers for the 5th to the 15th of December. That's going to be the last summit we have this year. So we're looking for 100 speakers. Please spread the word. There's also going to be a massive business opportunity that comes out of Herstory. We are looking for women in other countries to license the running of these events. So Stella, Wazanai, Paula, I've already talked to. Anyone else who's on this call who would like to take the Herstory movement to your location, inbox me on Facebook. Let's start having the conversation so I can share with you the business model for the movement and how you can start earning money through the movement as well. There's a lot of things happening, and podcasts are great. I would love to interview both of you, Wadzanai and Stella, and anyone else who came. I think Beauty, I haven't interviewed you. Buyiswa, I think I've done a podcast interview with you. If I haven't, just remind me. Podcasts are powerful because, again, it's a way for us to disseminate these stories. We're creating a TikTok account. So when you were presenting, you noticed I got everybody to come off stage, so you were the only one on screen. We're doing that so that we can grab small little sound bites out of the things you were sharing. We'll create shorter, small videos that we put on TikTok. TikTok is, again, another platform that makes videos go viral. So there's a number of things we're doing. Everything is deliberate. So we will be giving you more information beginning of December in terms of what's coming in 2022. Once I've sat down with my investors here in Melbourne, big things are coming for the Herstory movement for sure. So is Ruth still with us, or has Ruth dropped off? I think she eventually ran out of electricity. So Wadzanai, I remembered the name Garwe, why I said I think I know you. I went to school with a Chipo Garwe. I went to the convent. Are you related?
She's my younger sister.
Okay.
I went to the convent too, so I was,
Yes.
yeah.
That is just so crazy. Even when I saw your face and I saw your name, I kept thinking, I know this woman. I know her. I was in the same class as your sister when I was from grade 1. We were in the same class when I was 6 years old.
Yes, that is correct.
What a small world. The
It's
universe
tiny.
has got an interesting way of connecting people again. So my sister was Patricia Bere. So how old are you? Are you younger than me or older?
No. I'm 55. I'm 4 years older than you. Yeah, 4 years older than you guys.
Okay, no, I'm
I'm
54, so you're a year older than me.
Yeah, because Chip was 51.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Give her my regards and do connect me with her.
Absolutely, I will. This is amazing. I've just connected to you on Facebook, so
Wonderful.
we'll keep in touch. I have to go because I'm working tomorrow and it's already 22 to midnight here. So
Yes.
thank you
No,
so much, everyone. I will be in touch. Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
for coming and sharing your story. Absolute honor to have met you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Bye.
wow. What a small world. Okay, ladies. So we're going to end today with a video that was shared. Every Thanksgiving, I try and highlight Thanksgiving stories. It started when I got a job in Pittsburgh. I was lecturing at a university in Pittsburgh, and I was hired by a family called the Rooneys, who owned the football team called the Steelers. And while I was there, I couldn't do any fundraising for my nonprofit in Africa. And I decided to use the time to interview other people who had nonprofits and just help out during Thanksgiving. Something magical happened with these interviews. My grandmother used to say that when you give to someone else, you're giving to yourself. The magical thing that happened was with each of the interviews that I did, I met some very, very powerful and influential people who have become friends. I interviewed the CEO of Taco Bell USA, and he became a personal friend of mine. He is now the CEO of Young Brands, which is Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. And I'm going to share his story about his experience with the power of giving. So all of these power of giving stories are going to eventually turn into a book that I'm hoping to publish very soon. But it's amazing what happens when you live in service, when you are constantly giving of yourself, giving of your time, and not expecting anything in return. What I've learned is that it comes back tenfold from the most unexpected places.
Hey, it's Alric.
And that has literally been the story of my life. My story is magical. My grandmother used to say that this universe is like a giant bank, and we just have to keep depositing good deeds. So, in whatever you're doing, keep on giving. Giving is the juice, the source that changes your life, changes other people's lives, and creates the magic that joins this universe together. So we're going to listen to Greg Creed from Taco Bell USA talking about the power of giving.
Hello and welcome back to the Power of Giving series. My name is Gertrude Mache. I am based here in Wellington, New Zealand.
And today I have the absolute pleasure and honor of interviewing Taco Bell's CEO, Greg Creed. Greg, welcome to the Power of Giving.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to talk to you in Wellington.
Thank you. Greg, like we discussed before our interview, I'm really looking for CEOs who are behind the face of most big corporates and just trying to find out what your organization is doing to give back.
Yeah.
So I would like you just to share with us, what changed your life when someone gave to you?
Sure. Well, I think I think there's two things people can give, right? It's usually money or time. But the most precious thing is actually time, because I think a lot of people find it easy to write a check, and then they write a check and they think it's absolved them of having to do anything else. And so the people who have had the most impact on my life are not those who necessarily wrote a check, but were those who really took the time to help me. I have a great story about, when you have an uncle who's not an uncle, who was like 20, he was about 10 years older than I. So when I was 12, he was 22. When I'm 17, he's 27. And, usually 22-year-olds and 27-year-olds don't want to spend a lot of time with 12-year-olds and 17-year-olds. And so what I found was just, this was the son of a friend of mine who sort of was like an uncle, but wasn't really. And he was a very successful, he was a lawyer. And it was just, I think the fact that he spent time with me just to talk to me, to ask about life, what's happening, and to sort of talk about all the choices that as a teenager you sort of had to make. And that occurred really as I was a teenager, right? So you're finishing high school, you're thinking about where you go to college. And what that really has morphed into at Taco Bell is really our focus on helping teens to graduate high school. Because I think that teenagers it's not an easy time of your life, right?
No.
It's difficult. There's a lot of choices. Sometimes the choices teenagers make are not necessarily great ones. And there's a lot of, I think, charity done, but there's not a lot of help for teenagers to help them make better decisions. And so what we've done at Taco Bell is really rally around a single-minded focus, which is to help teenagers graduate high school. Now, we're not necessarily saying you have to go to Ivy League colleges or universities, but to have a really sound education, we think is really critical to helping set up, the youth of the future. And in the United States, at least, there's a teenager dropping out every 26 seconds, dropping out of school. And I think that is, if you think about it, to me, society's obligation is to offer our children an education, because I think for a lot of people, education is really the only chance you have to change maybe the life that you've got. Because, there are people, there are kids who think, well, I might go in the NBA, I might become in the NFL, I might become a professional golfer. Yeah, about, less than 200 kids a year, that'll impact, right? So I think giving kids the reason to stay in school, helping them with the choices to make, and really focusing our foundation on getting teens to graduate. So we've set the bold goal. We want to get 100,000 more teens a year to graduate high school than are currently graduating high school in the United States. And so we've primarily focused the foundation and all the energy and work we have around that cause. So we've worked with the Boys and Girls Club primarily. We've obviously worked with a lot of other organizations, primarily to get kids to graduate high school, to go on and a more, contributing life to society.
So you touched on something that's very close to my heart. I think I mentioned earlier that I'm from Zimbabwe,
Right.
And education is really what got me to where I am. What is it about education that changes a child's life or an individual's life, do you think?
Well, I think without education, there's little chance you can change your life. You've either got to win the lottery, become a professional sports player, or get yourself an education. And I think that in the time that I've been at Taco Bell 12 years, and probably in the 15 years that we've been working with teenagers to get them to graduate, it's not that we've raised $40 million or spent over $40 million. It's I've met these kids where an education has changed their life. I mean, we talk to kids who, they have to get on 3 buses to get to a school, or their parents aren't necessarily as supportive, or the family doesn't have the money, but they have persevered in an amazing, sometimes against the most amazing odds. And yet an education is the one key thing you can point to that has changed their life. And so I think that without an education, it's really impossible to imagine that a lot of people are going to change their destiny. And, why can't someone who is struggling today be tomorrow's doctor that cures cancer? So, the line we have is, we sell tacos, we don't cure cancer, but maybe we can help a young teenager graduate, go on to become a doctor, and that person cures cancer. So that's our lofty goal, which is really single-mindedly, how do we help teenagers graduate high school and go on to live, productive life in society?
Now, in doing my research, I noticed that your organization is doing a lot around the world around education and food, especially.
Correct. Yeah.
I noticed your Hunger to Hope project.
Yes.
Being from Zimbabwe, I can so relate to the importance of giving kids good nutrition so they could just sit in a classroom and read.
Yeah.
Now, it's an interesting dichotomy, because if there is food in the school, it's another added incentive for the children to come to school, correct? Especially in the developed world.
Well, we basically sponsor the school lunch programs, because you can give people, what's interesting, I've been to El Salvador, Nicaragua, Haiti. I've had a chance to go where, the program, the food, the food program we're a part of. If you just give people food, but you don't intrinsically link it to education. So, what we do is we basically promote and support school lunch programs. And parents know that if they have a choice, they can either send their children out to work in the fields, or they can send their children to school. What they know is if they send them to school, they'll get a meal. They may not appreciate the value of the education they're going to get, but if we have to use food as the vehicle to get them to school, to get an education, then that to me is intrinsically linking the need for nutrition and obviously food with this desire to help more people, get an education. So our parent company, which is Yum, works with the World Food Program. And what we've done within Taco Bell, within Yum, is intrinsically link school lunch programs, which then links, going to school, getting a meal, getting a hot meal traditionally, and then obviously getting an education at the same time. So it may be that they're going for the food, but the outcome is they get a meal, but they also get an education versus working in the fields for a couple of dollars, not getting a hot meal and not getting an education. So that's how we've linked with the amazing work that our parent company is doing with the work that we're doing at Taco Bell. And the opportunity to go to some of these places, like as I said, like El Salvador, Nicaragua, Haiti, to see in action the success of people, of talking to parents who traditionally would not send their kids to school, but they send the kids to school because they know they will get a really nutritious hot meal. And what we see then is the benefit of while they're at school, we can give them an education.
That is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so that leads me to my next question. What changed your life when you gave to someone else?
Well, it's interesting. We have a program. We have a corporate jet, which is probably a little, sounds very, wonderful. But there's a program called Angel Care. And Angel Care is an opportunity for us to take sick patients for free when the jet is traveling from, place A to place B. And so we work with Angel Care and we let people know where the plane's going. And if we can take sick people with us, a number of things occur. One, we can take nurses on the plane or oxygen on the plane. There's less people on the plane, so there's less chance they'll get an infection or a cough or a cold from someone else. So I had a chance about 5 years ago there was a young lady called Elise Coco, and I only met her for one day. She flew with me from Orange County or California to New York via Houston, and she was suffering from Hodgkin's or recurring Hodgkin's disease. I only met her for one day. She basically sat opposite me in the seat. We spoke for a day, and she had what was called recurring Hodgkin's. She had struggled with 4 or 5. You know, she'd get it, she'd get over it, she would get it again. And what was the most profound thing for me was that despite what was happening to her, in recurring Hodgkin's, there's not a very high success rate. She was totally concerned with helping others who were being diagnosed with the disease. So she set up her own website, she set up blogs, she answered the sort of questions that patients had that doctors unfortunately either didn't want to answer or, you know, they're doctors and they didn't answer. Unfortunately, Elise passed away, and her father has set up a foundation. I'm on the foundation as we obviously try to find a cure for Hodgkin's.
So, to find out more about how you can help and support teenagers through the Taco Bell Foundation, please go onto their website, which is tacobellfoundationforteens.org. And remember, it's not about the giving of money all the time. It's the gift of your time. It could be your time in taking a teenager under your wing as a mentor. It could be inviting them to your organization for a day so they can see people in the workplace. Or better still, invite them to your university or your college and give them exposure to higher education before they finish high school. I really have to thank Greg Creed, the CEO of Taco Bell USA, for taking the time to have this interview and share his view on the precious gift of time. Thank you.
Okay. So that is the end of our day. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Oops.
And welcome.
Had to stop the video there. Thank you, ladies, for coming online today and sharing this amazing day with us. We will be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing day, lineup of presenters. Thank you, Whip. I know you were there in the background without your camera on, participating and supporting us today. Always wonderful to hear your beautiful voice. Hopefully the next time we connect, we'll see your beautiful face again. Paula, thank you for coming in from the US. Beulah from Zimbabwe. Ruth, I know you'll watch this afterwards when you get your electricity back. And Stella in Germany. Absolute pleasure to have spent this time with you this morning.
Thank you, Gertrude. This was amazing.
Thank you so much,
What an amazing
Gertrude.
day.
Yeah.
Beautiful stories that we had shared today, and I think some beautiful connections as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what really inspires me when I see the magic starting to happen.
Me too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gertrude, for this platform. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. So do inbox me if you want to be part of the panel again tomorrow. Just send us a message through Facebook. We'll send you the link. Otherwise, have a fantastic day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, everybody. Bye for now. Take care.
Thank you
Thank you
again.
so
Nice meeting
much,
everybody.
Gertrude. God bless you.
Thank you, everyone.
God
Bye-bye.
bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bless you.
Thank you.